where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. This particular topic that we're discussing is about a young lady named Jeffley, who at the age of 15 years old, she was falsely accused of murder. She was in the 8th grade. She was taking the advice of a Eva Moon Dragon, which was 24 years old, who stated to her to tell the police that she was with her at the time, or that they were together. And so as a 15-year-old who was instructed that your family could be in danger, you could only imagine what went through her mind. She was confused, distraught, has an impressionable mind as a young 15-year-old 8th grader. She went alone, and come to find out that the injustice that was done to her was the fact that she was held down to the police station with no legal representation, no parent present, or no legal guardian. So today on this show, we have the mother, Jeffley. I'd like to welcome you to the show.
Thank you.
And her daughter, which is Jennifer Jeffley's sister, and can you say your name for the camera?
Karen.
And Karen Jeffley. Now, what we want to do is delve into this story and what took place, but we actually want to get to some very important facts. And fact one is the fact that when you're dealing with the Miranda law, you need, and the purpose of having counsel present is simply because so the person can understand that their rights. So if they don't understand their rights, then that means that their rights wasn't voluntary. If their rights wasn't voluntary, then that's the whole purpose of setting up a nation of laws. So definitely the whole system, the city of Houston, all mothers, taxpayers, done a disservice to a citizen of the United States of America, 15 years old, in the 8th grade. That's like saying, going up against professional cops, that's like saying that the New England Patriots are going up against an 8th grade junior high football team. And that would not stand a chance. So definitely we want you all to get involved in this case. I want to thank Hip Hop for Justice for their interest, and that we can resolve this matter, because this is not only a crime against Jennifer Jeffley, but against humanity as a whole. So we want to get into the story, and I want to ask Miss Jackie Jeffley if she can go into the details of the case, and then we'll break it down by points to show where not only was her rights violated, but the fact that even Maria Palomino, they did not exhaust all the evidence and the rights to finding out the facts of the case. You can't just convict someone on a written statement that was typed up by the police and a promise that you'll be able to go home if you sign this confession. Now, if I'm being interrogated, and you got to think of a 15-year-old mind, you have to understand that I'm missing my bed, I'm missing my family. I want to eat a meal at the table with my family. So whatever you tell me, and you said if I can sign this to go home, I'm going to dotted line there, because we are known to trust our elders. And when an elderly person says that trust me, or we'll do this if you do that, you don't understand the tricks and the games behind those statements. That's the purpose of having a legal representation or a guardian or a family member there, so they can say, well, even in the Miranda law, when it states that you have the right to remain silent, she didn't stop and say, wait a minute, explain that. I'm 15, I'm in 8th grade, I'm facing these giants, and we want to, the reason why we're outside is nature. This is Texas. This is a part of who we are. This is something that the community, but America as a whole, needs to get involved in, because when we sit and we give our vote, and you say that we are a nation of laws, but you go back to an old Jim Crow South or the Black Coast, to where you can snatch up a black person off the streets and hide them away, and nothing will be said or done. And what's appalling is that the legal defense, they understand this. They know that the fact that the whole purpose of the Miranda law, dealing with Ernesto Miranda, who it was named after, his rights was violated because they said that he didn't understand his rights. Nobody said, no legal counsel instructed him on what his rights was. Therefore, if he didn't understand his rights, and how you gonna put me behind bars? Let him go. But now, Miss Jackie Jeffley, can you? And this is the mother. And well, I just want to add before we get into it, for the pain of all mothers, especially black mothers, but mothers in particular. You know, to miss a time away from a child is heartbreaking within itself. We can understand that. But as a human being, how can I look myself in the mirror knowing that injustice was done and not say anything? That's where the saying comes from, that bad things happen when good people do nothing. You know, and if we saying that this is a society of Christians, Muslims, Jews, whatever denominations that may be, and we sit back and allow injustice to take place, then what does this say about our society? So can you go into the case and what took place and what inspired? And remember, this was 21 years ago. She's been in since she was 15, 21 years later, and still is there, and her rights was violated. And it upsets me because this should not happen in what they call the land of the free and the home of the brave. So what inspired in this particular case?
What happened was we had just recently moved into that apartment complex. Been living there for about 3 months, and she met this friend Eva a few weeks before the crime happened, and Eva befriended her. I mean, I met Eva. Eva came out and said, you know, Jennifer's like a little sister.
Right.
So with that being said, I'm like, well, help me keep Jennifer in school, because that's important. She has to go to school. Well, Jennifer hung out with Eva so much on this day of the crime. Jennifer spent the night at Eva's house. And the next morning, Jennifer was swept away by the police. I had no idea.
You were?
I was at home. I was off that first day, the day of the murder. I was at home. They just swept her off. I had no idea that they were taking her in or anything.
But so that means you were off work that day?
I was off from work, right. That was my off day. The next day, though, I was scheduled to go to work. So I had talked to Jennifer. I had picked her up from the police station. When I picked her up from the police station, no one came out. When she came out from being, I guess, giving a witness statement, no officer escorted her out to talk to me, to say, I am questioning your daughter because this or that, or I'm officer this or that. No one. That night, that evening of the crime, 2 officers came to my house. And one officer talked to me, the other officer looked around. And I had my 2 sons, who I just recently lost, cremated. And their urns were sitting on the table, and he asked about them, and I had a picture of the family, which was in her video. He asked about that, and I told him those are my 2 sons we just lost. That's why we moved to Houston. And he says, okay, and he didn't say anything about, we want to talk to Jennifer. We think Jennifer has something to do with it. We think that Jennifer might know somebody who did. They just said, who do you know that Jennifer knows? Well, we just moved there. Eva?
Right.
I don't know anybody else outside of that except for the one she goes to school with.
Right.
So they said, okay, well, here's my card. One of them, here's my card. Detective Swanson actually gave me his card, and I looked at it, and the address on it was on Raisiner Street or something like that, 51 Raisin. I had no idea because I'm new to Houston. I had no idea what that was.
Right.
So the next day I go to work. I had to be at work at like 5. I think I had to be at work 4:45 in the morning. So I had to leave early because I worked over at in Rochelle. And that was a good drive for me.
Right.
So I go to work, didn't get a call or anything about Jennifer. I come home. My mother had come up visiting the night before. I come home and my mother says, the officers came and took Jennifer. And I'm like, they came and took her? He said, yeah. I asked to go, but he said it wasn't room in his car. I couldn't go with him. She said, I asked, can I come with you? Because she is not from Houston. She's, Northeast Texas. And they said, yeah. she said, well, let me go get my purse and my keys so I can follow you.
Right.
But when she went into my apartment to get her purse and her keys, they left her. And she went back outside and they were gone, and she had it. And I didn't have a phone for her to call me on my job.
So they drove off.
They left.
They left while Jennifer's grandmother went back inside.
Yes, they went off and left her.
See,
And I believe it was Detective.
and when things like that happen, is what's saying is they botched something or trying to hide something and drove off, but they're looking for a scapegoat or someone to pin something on.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to take the time to do the proper investigation. And a lot of times when it comes to us, it's, look, I don't want to sit here and do all this paperwork. I don't feel like, we'll do that. They're not going to have the money to hire a big name attorney or whatever. And so that's the end of it. But they fail to realize that you have groups out there that's will fight, for causes such as this one, because it can be anybody's daughter, anybody's son, anybody's family member that can be hauled off and feel as though that they don't understand or know their rights,
Right.
which was sad within that sense. So they hauled a young 15-year-old, 8th grade, now by herself, off to Regional Street to be.
But they didn't go to Regional Street. They went to
Macawa
Station. But I thought they went to, because I didn't know where they went. So he gave me his card, and I just called the number because I had no idea where they were taking me or where they took me. When I called, he told me I'm at the office. So when I'm at the office, I look at that card, and it says office, fax. So I'm thinking he's at this location right here. I have no idea where this location right here is. So I'm asking him, well, where is this? Where is your office? He says, oh, you don't have to worry about where my office is. We're going to bring her home. He said, we'll be there in about 30 minutes.
Okay.
So you're bringing her home? Yes. And, okay. So I wait. And I'm like, okay, I don't know where the street is. Maybe they're further than the traffic in Houston.
Right.
Maybe it'll take a little bit longer to get her here. So 30 minutes passed, no Jennifer. 45 minutes passed, still no Jennifer. So I go back and I call him.
Right. Because they're stalling. What's happening is that you have these professional police officers, and they're saying, well, look, this is a 15-year-old mom. And by the time we get through with her and stall her out, she'll be ready to sign anything.
Right.
Let's go to work.
Yeah.
What method you want to use? You want to use good cop, bad cop? You want to use bad cop, or want to use good? But whatever we have to do to get this done, because the mindset of an adult going after a 15-year-old mind that is in the development stage. Their critical thinking skills are not fully kicked in yet. That's the purpose and the reason why you have to have an attorney present doing questioning, because an adult mind can come out and get them to say anything.
Right.
Yes. And so from that point on, from that point where they were at the when they took it to Macawa, they didn't contact you. They start you 45 minutes. They start you for another 30 minutes.
And kept stalling.
They kept stalling.
They kept stalling. But I do want to say that in the morning, the officer said they picked her up in the afternoon. I think somewhere like 3. I want to say one officer said he took her in for interview at 2:45. But Karen was at the house when they picked her up. My mother was at the house, and my younger sister were there visiting too. And they said it was before 10 o'clock or around 10 o'clock in the morning.
Now let me mention this. At this time, she wasn't charged with anything.
No, but they had, bicycle cops patrolling the area and unmarked cars looking for her. The bicycle cop spotted her with my mother coming back from the store and told her, you need to go home. You have a detective there looking to talk with you.
But she's held, but wasn't formally charged.
Right.
Okay, so that's a violation.
That's a complete violation. They can't hold a person longer than 6 hours.
A child.
If it's longer than 6 hours, it's considered coercion. So basically, they said, oh, well, we got her at 3, but they didn't. They got her at 10, and it wasn't until 5:45 p.m. that they actually got the confession that they say they got a confession that incriminated her. Now, that also breaks another law, because there's another statute, there's another law that says you have to immediately tell the parent if a child says anything that incriminates them, and they didn't do that either. So they're, constantly breaking laws here.
But not only are they breaking laws, you're breaking the civil rights of a human being.
Exactly.
Violate her rights. My rights too.
And
Both.
violate the rights of the mother.
Right.
And a human being, any parent, as I stated, doesn't matter if you white, black, Hispanic, whatever, but any parent understands that bond with their child, and that child will when they get into a situation where they lash out and they need that comfort, and the loved one is not there, that escalates the situation, or it makes the child in a panic state, in a sense, because you're there among strangers. You're in a strange place among strange people. You don't know these people. You don't know where you're at. The parents not here. Nobody there on your, meaning no one is there on your side at that present moment, at that time, in that place. And that's why I say that people should be outraged that this can happen in this country today. And so can we continue from that point?
Okay. So they took her, left my mother behind. They took her to that local station, but that local station was like 8.5 miles away from home. And they started their questioning her. She asked for her grandmother because she knew her grandmother said she wanted to go. But they told her, you don't need your grandma, we're going to bring you home. She asked for her sister because she knew I was still at work. They said the same thing about her sister. When she saw that it was time that I should be home, she asked for me. They said, we're going to take you home. You don't need your mom. Just go ahead, and we're getting the statement together. We're almost to just sign it. And I believe that was the one they called the incriminating statement. Now, all the statements, she never signed anything. She she signed everything. She never wrote anything.
Right.
She never wrote, and everything, the detective was asking her and was filling her in on the crime. And when she said, I don't know about that, he says, you're lying. This isn't true. This isn't based on what this witness says. It's not based on, your statement is not matching up with everybody else's statement.
And was it taped?
No.
Was it video?
Nothing. And she says, this isn't even what I said.
Everything that they said, that even the weapon, they never found the weapon, but the detective went into the house and did his scenario or his theory of what happened. In doing that, he goes and he looks around and he notices the victim's, Miss Palomino's, kitchen drawer ajar, and he assumes that the murder weapon came out of the drawer, but there was never a murder weapon found, ever. They have no idea what actually was
But
the
they
murder
did
weapon.
find fingerprints, and they did find something under her nails or hair.
Yeah,
Of course, it wasn't my sister's. But
She fought.
Right.
she didn't really care about that.
They didn't care about the evidence or the facts. Now this evil moon dragon, did they Mundragon, did they
They used her as a witness, helping them to inculcate Jennifer into
And
this crime.
I'm sorry not to cut you off, but she changed her story from the initial statement they got from her to when she was actually sitting on court to the Promot show that we did. Every time she changed her statement. And each time she added more to make Jennifer seem more guilty. In court she said, I saw bruises. And in the show she said, I saw blood. Well, why didn't you remember you saw blood on the stand? Or the very first day they questioned you if you're telling the truth.
That's right. But they understand that, no, we're dealing with a 15-year-old mind. We're going to go in here and pin it all on this 15-year-old.
Exactly.
And whatever you all do, make sure that no one is there to represent her.
Right.
We're going to stall her out. We're going to stress her out. She's going to sign this confession, which is the only piece of evidence they had, is just her signature, not nothing that she typed up,
Exactly.
not in her written handwriting. She didn't write it out.
She didn't.
And so the outcome is the people. We asking for the people to get involved. Hip Hop for Justice, all the artists who claim that they're with H-Town and we with the city and we with the people, then it's time to put your words to action. You know, this is something. This is a case that's it's about one individual, but it overshadows all parents in this society, because it could be your daughter or your son next if you don't get out and do anything, even on the basis of the fact that you cannot charge a 15-year-old as an adult for murder in the state of Texas. Is that true? Did they charge you 15?
They did.
They treated her as she was an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Overrode now, and I did do research on the case. Her attorney, or the attorney that was the court-appointed attorney, didn't even contact right.
He actually, when she called collect, because the inmates told her that you can call your attorney collect. He has to accept the charges. He denied. He refused every collect call she made. Every collect call. And then she asked me, Mama, would you talk to him? I called him and said, you're not my client. I cannot talk to you about the case. I cannot talk to you about the case.
And he never visited her one time. And we wrote the judge, and we said, look, this court-appointed attorney that you've given us has not done anything. We've got a certified letter, sent a couple of certified letters. They still allowed the court case to happen.
Who was the judge?
Judge Barr, Judge
Janine Barr.
And 182nd.
The trial. They still allowed the trial to happen,
Allowed.
knowing that he did not contact her.
And he accused her before the jury twice that she did it. She had something to do with it. She just got caught up.
And he didn't object to anything.
Oh, he objected
to some odd things.
Yeah, he had some objections. And her I don't know how court works, but the statements, I don't know when they issue the suppressing of the statements, what period of time they do that. It wasn't done until the trial date.
But
I don't know if they do it before then, but.
But did he say? But did they go over the fact that when she was picked up, she had no?
He didn't talk to her.
Everything he went by what the DA was going to bring out.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
He
one
never
of the
visited her one time.
yeah one of the state's
Except the day that
witnesses.
she was appointed him.
Yeah, that's it. And then the day of trial, just 2 days. The appointment date and then the day of trial.
She had no defense.
So he had no case hours and actually preparing to put forth a substantial case to get her. And I'm not an attorney, but I'm a citizen within this country who understands how law works and understand that this is a nation of laws, and you cannot, once you violate a citizen's right, then there is no case. Look, there was a white woman on Southwest Freeway, ran in a bit of road rage, chased down a naval officer, white naval officer, and ran him back of his motorcycle, threw him 300 feet and killed him. They gave her 6 years, and she was an adult. And the parent of the naval officer who died said that he couldn't believe the injustice in their case that this actually happened. But and my point is that, and we had problems with Houston Crime Lab. My thing is the federal government needs to send somebody down here to investigate to see what's going on in these cases, because generations are being lost on trumped up charges to send these youth to prison to make these products for these corporations so they can get paid. They get nothing, and it's just it's a 20th century slave machine that they got running, that we got to get involved and stop this thing, because it's ridiculous. We're seeing too many different cases that's going on with the youth,
Yes.
especially in Texas. And it should not be, because this was a working mother who paid money, taxes into the judicial system to pay the very officers their salary. We're taxpayers. We don't, meaning you can't sit around and just get dumped on and don't stand up and try to fight and say anything, because we got to look at who we actually dealing with. I mean, these people, if these officers had the heart to do that to a 15-year-old child without the main thing is no representation. She can't represent. Look, she's not even in high school to even go over government classes on what rights is and what this and that. This is not even taught in the school systems.
Right.
So she was 100% on her own, fighting adults.
Yeah.
I mean, she trying to hold up as best as she can in her mind capacity at that age of being in the 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
But you fighting adults from, let's say, 25 on. How old was the judge? To about 50, 60 or whatever. I mean, the whole system.
Yeah.
You know, how you gonna get justice in that? And from my vantage point, they didn't see her as an equal member of society. We're gonna just railroad. We messed up as police. Maybe they tampered with evidence. Maybe they didn't do the investigation correctly when they went into the apartment. But look, we're not gonna take responsibility for our mistakes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pin it on a 15-year-old, which is cowardly, and we're gonna turn our backs on it and hide. We're gonna hide behind the judge. We're gonna try to hide behind our badge. We're gonna try to hide behind that we do have resources in the Justice Department to where that can keep us out of the media's eye. We'll try to hush this case up. And you know, when I watched the Crime Watch, which they did a good job on as far as the reporting of the story, and I'm watching that interview, I'm just noticing that, you know, there should be more people, Amnesty International, more groups involved in this. This thing has to get out, you know, and that is why we're doing this interview today. And once again, this is on the story of Jeffley, who was falsely accused for murder, went in at 15 years old, 21 years later. Still, the case hasn't been resolved, and she's still fighting for her right to be free. And we also fighting with her, so know that we are fighting with you, and we will gather as many as we can, because this cannot go. This injustice cannot continue to go on. Now where are we at today in the present day on the deal? As far as I noticed that there were some pastors that were fighting, and are they trying to fight for the appeal?
Right now, I'm not sure what we can get and what we can do. I'm trying to reach out, and I have reached out to the Congresswoman's representative, and I'm waiting for him to get back with me. I have reached out to the mayor, but I'm waiting for him to get back with me.
Now, and that was what now? The apartment, a complex that they
Green Auburn,
and that what side of Houston is that?
southeast.
Southeast. So that's
Over there by 45.
About
Mm-hmm.
okay. Whoever was the senator that was representing that district at the time dropped the ball. Now, are you in Houston now?
Presently, I don't live in Houston. My daughter does.
You in
And
Houston?
my other daughter does.
Houston, whatever senator in your district, or even TSU, even Prairie View, even Stephen F. Austin, I'm calling for your legal department so you can teach your students that's getting ready to graduate, that's getting into law, how to use this as a case study to show how her rights was violated from the word go. And these are not allegations. These are actually facts that actually took place. This is not something that's made up. We dealing with this case in real time. This is something that actually took place. This is young ladies, 15-year-old, 8th grader rights that were violated. This case needs to be studied. We all need to get involved. We need PV, we need TSU, we need U of H, you know, we need the legal department on these college campuses to show how justice can be formed in this system, or else you need to shut down your legal department. If you can teach your students about law and you can't teach them how to win this case shouldn't even be a case. If you can't, then you don't no longer need to be an instructor or a professor in college. If you can't get this case done, this is a case. It's ridiculous, you know, hearing this, that from to have a 15-year-old child rights violated and mother, grandmother, legal counsel not present, being interrogated with a signed confession after hours, after 6 hours. You know, it's ridiculous. I know I'm harping on that point, but if this part would have been done, it would have been over with.
Right.
Completely over with. It was the whole purpose of the Miranda law. If you're not going to follow the Miranda, throw it out. What is the whole purpose of understanding your rights? You voluntarily. You can have if the confession wasn't voluntarily, and the confession cannot be voluntarily if you don't understand what you're volunteering to confess to.
Right.
It's a done deal.
Or if they hold you over the 6 hours questioning you, ask any questions.
Just to let you know, that's it. But also, that's why you have people saying Black Lives Matter, or you know, justice or else, or no justice, no peace, or because it's not just this one incident, it's many incidents, so it makes you think something is going on. You know? But the thing about it is, it reached to a point to where we can't be quiet anymore. I mean, we can't be the scared people who just allow ourselves to be trampled upon at the will of others just because they have some negative stereotype or a person, or because in their twisted mind they feel as though I'm better than you in a sense or whatnot. That has nothing to do with law and with justice and with a human being, you know, getting their fair shake in society. You know, as I say, you know, I'm sorry behind that. And when I heard of it, you know, it was like, well, let's do something. Gotta do something. Gotta say something. Gotta do. We talk to the mom, you know.
Yeah, I do want to add to the so much of an unfair shake for Jennifer that the judge knew that attorney was not counseling with her, but he let her go ahead, and the judge went ahead and let that attorney represent her